No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
A humbled L.A Kings team plus a poorly performing Winnipeg Jets team equals a bad recipe for the visiting team as the L.A Kings defeat the Winnipeg Jets very handily tonight. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Along with Ezra Ginsburg, along with Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here for a good time, but not a long time, as we all want to go to bed and not dwell on what was one of the worst performances of the season by the Winnipeg Jets, dropping a 4-1 decision to the Los Angeles Kings, a game where they could muster a grand total of 14 shots on the Kings through 60 minutes of action. Gentlemen, good to see you both as the clock nears midnight on this Wednesday night, the night before United States Thanksgiving. The Winnipeg Jets played tonight like they were filled with tryptophan already and had too much turkey to eat as part of the pre-game meal. Nice to see you both.
Boys, 2 shots in the third period, like not what you're expecting out of the Jets after they weren't able to generate a lot of shots, as Drew said, in the first couple periods of the game. And, you know, obviously, guys, the Kings were the more desperate team, right? They'd lost 4 of their last 6 games, including being embarrassed by the San Jose Sharks. Like, I don't know how, you know, anybody watching that game could ever believe that the lowly Sharks could put 7 goals past this team. Like, this Kings team has figured it out defensively. It's pretty remarkable, guys. Like, the Jets just couldn't get anything going through the neutral zone. Like, you had I thought what summed up that third period, Nick Ehlers had a rush there, used some speed, and it looked like, you know, he might shoot the puck on net, or at the very least the Jets might get a good scoring chance, and it ended up being just an errant pass, and it led to nothing, right? Like, that to me just kind of summed up this game. Like, the Jets just didn't have a lot going offensively. And, you know, give the Kings credit. Like, you look at a guy like Brant Clark, right shot defenseman, stepping up in the absence of Drew Doughty, who's been injured the entire year, like 8th overall pick. Like, this guy's this is a future star as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, we know how good Kopitar is. He's a huge future Hall of Famer, I should say. Adrian Kempe, obviously, he gets the empty netter. He's a fantastic player. Alex Laferriere, he's a guy, not Alexis Lafreniere, Alex Laferriere, who went to Harvard, 9 goals, 15 points. I think he's got, 16 points now because he picked up an assist in this game, right, guys? So I think Laferriere, he's a future star as well from Harvard, out of Harvard. So there's no shortage. Quinton Byfield, didn't even mention him. Like, there's no shortage of good players. And you forget, guys.
Imagine if they still had Rasmus Kupari and Gabe Vilardi.
Well, they did pretty well tonight without them, right, Drew? But I'm like, that trade is lopsided if you want to go there. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The Jets are the winners of that trade, especially with Pierre-Luc Dubois' lack of goal scoring for the Washington Capitals this year, right? But yeah, just the story of tonight, guys, has to be the Jets' inability to really get anything going offensively. Like, they had trouble putting 3 or 4 passes together, let alone getting a shot on net. And so that's a credit to the Kings and their, how many times are we going to say smothering defensive style tonight, guys? But really, that's what it was. It was a throwback. It wasn't quite, Dave, the Daryl Sutter, 2011, 2012 Kings, but that was an old school brand of hockey, physical and kind of creating that trap in the neutral zone and just not letting the Jets really do anything off the rush.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the comments that Gabriel Vilardi made to Dan Robertson in the first intermission were accurate, right? I mean, no surprise they're accurate. I mean, his assessment of the game is going to was it second intermission.
Oh, Rasmus was the first, wasn't he? Maybe
you're right. You're right.
Back, but I thought
you're right. No, you're right, because it was after he scored. Yeah. So, anyways, the point is that he just, it's funny. Now I'm like, was it the first or the second? Anyways, it doesn't make a difference. You're right. But to me, it's just that they had to take what the game brought to them, and they didn't. And they tried to create some stuff. And as he's right, like there were so many missed opportunities in this hockey game. And the Kings, I was going to, funny as he said, how many times are we going to use the word smothered? And then the best part was, I was just before I said that, I was like, well, the Kings played a very smothering game, but I didn't want to duplicate it. But it's the truth. I mean, it was very evident that the Jets just, I mean, first of all, their first period wasn't good. You had but they ended up with shots, 4 shots in the first period, Drew.
14-5.
Yeah, 14-5. So I mean, it
and
wasn't
the shots
good.
were 8-1 halfway through the first period.
Well, yeah, for sure. And you just, like I said, it's about. I mean, you're not going to throw it all away. I mean, it's still an 18-5 team, as our boy Bruce just pointed that out. I mean, it's not the sky is falling, but you're now 2-2 on this road trip. A road trip, as we pointed out in our tweet to get you here. Oddly enough, every score in this road trip has been 4-1. They either win 4-1 or they've lost 4-1. But this is it's a tough game because LA, like you were saying, Drew. I mean, look, they've got no Darcy Kemper because he's injured. So you've got Big Save Dave, and before people say anything about him, even though they had, I think he was 2-2, but his numbers, the 3 games since Kemper got injured on the 15th of November, Big Save Dave has played now the 5 straight games, but prior to this one, and he had like a 944 to 950 save percentage in the first 3 games. No, again, I'm not saying that Big Save Dave had any role in this, but I'm saying that when believe me, the Jets didn't
need a goalie for
but
it's
crazy.
They could have gone empty net this whole game and still beat the Jets
for sure. But what I'm saying is that when Rittich was terrible, the whole team was terrible against San Jose. But as he said, this is a team. It's hard to believe that this same team gave up 7 goals in the game on Monday.
Yeah, that's the impossible to understand part, is that it had nothing to do with this game itself, but that this L.A. Kings team, I mean, they must have just not. I mean, I didn't watch any of the Sharks Kings on Monday night, so forgive me for not having deep insight into what happened there. But it's impossible that the L.A. Kings that played this well tonight, could have given up 7 goals to the San Jose Sharks, one of the worst teams in the league. So that is hard to wrap your brain around. But look at
isn't that kind of the story? Like the Stars lost 6-2 to the Blackhawks tonight too, right?
Yeah.
Like same kind of thing. The Stars are one of the best teams in the West.
Right.
It's kind of been it's been a wild start to the season. Please see the Jets 18-5 record, right?
Very true.
So yeah, I mean Dave's absolutely right. I mean
this was a bad performance by the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. But look, the only player I thought that had that had really noticeable effect on tonight's game, players, let's say, I thought Rasmus Kupari, he drew 2 penalties. Both of them were against his counterpart with that wears number 15 on the LA Kings, Alex Turcotte. A little 15-on-15 infraction all game long. I thought he had a noticeable effect on tonight's game. I thought Gabe Vilardi was fine in tonight's game as well. But to me, the rest of the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, you could almost see it from the get-go. Early in the passes weren't connecting. The puck was bouncing. Guys were falling. It was just an all systems failure for tonight's game. And I'll also include the coaching staff on this one, because if there was any game that demanded a line blender, I think it was this one. You could see early on, and even after you account for a few minutes of struggles, you're not going to obviously pull out the line blender, within the first 10 minutes of the game. That would just be a little excessive. But I thought that Scott Arniel needed to be a little bit more proactive and do something a little bit more significant than just swapping Perfetti for Iafallo. That was really the only change he made during the course of this game. I would have liked to see a little bit more from him to try and generate something, to try and see if you can catch lightning in a bottle, because the Winnipeg Jets clearly, and they probably wouldn't have made a difference, I admit that. But, they needed to find something to get going in tonight's game, because it was evident they didn't have it with the way the lines were drawn up upon puck drop.
Right. And kind of further to your point, Drew, this was kind of a rare bad game for the Jets' third line, the Lowry line, right? And that's the line we always talk about. It sets the tone, the identity line. Like Nino Niederreiter drew that penalty on Tanner Jeannot in the second period, which eventually led to Gabe Vilardi's quick power play goal, right? So he drew that penalty. But aside from that, like that line didn't have a lot going on tonight. Thought Nemesnikov, like, and the other thing too, guys, is like the Jets are down a goal. Perfetti rings one off the iron, right? You remember that sequence? So, the game gets tied up. So like for similar to the Wild game, actually, right? Like the Kings are badly out shooting the Jets, but they still only have the 1-goal lead, right? So just wanted to point that out. And if I'm not mistaken, did Morrissey ring one off the iron too?
He did on the power play.
On the power play. So, I mean, the Jets, like at the end of the day, right? Like this could have easily been a 3-2 game as opposed to a 4-1 game, or maybe I'm just saying that, the Jets were in this game and maybe they shouldn't have been score-wise.
Yeah. Scoreboard, they were in the game, but in terms of performance on the ice, it was lopsided. It was one-sided, and the Jets they didn't have anything that they could really point to as saying this is working for us tonight.
One of the words I would use, Drew, sorry to cut in here, but one of the words that I would kind of use is like they were disjointed. Like that's one of the and I saw your tweet, Drew, and the ice could have been bad at crypto.com.
The ice is always bad in big arenas like
this.
Well,
that's the thing, right?
Like Garden,
and both teams have to play on the same ice.
Yeah, this had nothing to do with the ice. I mean,
but I'm just saying, like it was bouncing around tonight on the Jets. Yeah. Like it was
always does.
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying it's an isolated thing. You know what I thought was funny, or I thought it was sort of, it's weird, but Rasmus Kupari gets the penalty shot. And of course, a penalty shot is always a good opportunity, a good chance to score. I think at that point in the game, and it's hindsight, it was a relatively easy save by Dave Riddick. I thought that Rasmus Kupari sort of tried to do too much with that opportunity. Maybe should have kept it a little bit with the KISS approach, keep it simple, stupid. But I thought that when Riddick made that,
it would have been better if Kupari scored there.
If he scores, of course, it's different. But I thought that it didn't even contribute to the Jets sort of getting into the flow of the game. It was just such an anomaly, that penalty shot, that it didn't allow the Jets to develop any momentum or develop any, aspect of their game, when it occurred. It just, okay, he's getting this penalty shot. It quickly happened. Riddick made an easy save, and then the game went back to how it was right before the penalty was even called. I thought that had it been a regular 2-minute power play, maybe, again, we're saying ifs and buts and everything else here, but maybe it would have allowed the Winnipeg Jets to sort of find a feel for the game a little bit more had they had the full power play opportunity rather than the one-off penalty shot, just in the course of the flow of the game. I listen. I understand that logically doesn't make any sense, but it was just a weird game.
I think it makes sense, Drew. I think what it speaks to is that the Jets were outplayed in all 3 periods, and there was no opportunity, or they didn't make an opportunity for themselves to take the momentum back in this game, right? Like watching that game, the Kings get the early goal on the power play, obviously, and they were in control of this game for the most part with their shot suppression. And we knew that going into this game, the Kings allow the fewest shots against per game. I don't think anybody was expecting them to keep the Jets to 2 shots in the third and 14 throughout the entire game with all of the firepower that the Jets have. But to your point, Drew, there was no momentum after the penalty shot from Kupari. And there was really not a lot of sustained momentum or sustained pressure at any point throughout the game. And that's just very un-Jets-like, right, guys? Like, we've seen the Jets lose games, obviously, this year, even though a lot of people are holding out hope for the 78-4 season. But I think that, this game was one of those games where the Kings took it to the Jets for the most part, and it was a difficult style of game, right? Paul Maurice used to call these grinders, and this was a grinder game. The Kings are big and physical. They slow things down in the neutral zone. They have great back pressure, lots of great defensive forwards. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't let the Jets really sustain a lot. Like there were chances here, chances there, right? We talked about the chance where Nemesnikov saw Perfetti coming in and Perfetti rang it off the iron. And, the Jets obviously got the Vilardi power play goal. But then the Jets' second power play, they didn't have a shot on net, right? So it was just, it wasn't a very good performance. And, I said to Dave before this road trip started, and this was before Sandberg got injured, I said, if the Jets go 4-2 here, I think that's a good road trip. Now, obviously, Sandberg changes things, but it's going to be, I think, really hard for the Jets to go 4-2. But that's the only really real way that this road trip is going to be successful, because, let's be honest here, guys, they were lucky to, I think, get out of Minnesota with a win.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm going to add quickly before we get into this is just, I know that folks are there. I think both perspectives are fair to say. I think the Jets have not played their best hockey over the course of the last little stretch. I mean, the Minnesota game, if not for Connor Hellebuck, is probably another loss, right? So you've got to factor all. I mean, the Nashville game, you could say that was a back-to-back, but the Jets are going to head into U.S. Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow, as the number one team in the NHL. So I mean, it's all relevant. You want to see the team. Look, there's clearly something wrong with Mark Scheifele. Mm-hmm. Everybody but Mark Scheifele will take a face-off on that line. So why? And he's just not contributing the same way. I mean, I think they said it on the broadcast. I don't know if he ended up with a shot on goal.
No shots on goal tonight. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's your top center. As your guy, you need to be, as
top winger, actually.
Sorry. Yeah, good point, Ezzy. top winger for right now. So it's clearly an issue, right? Yeah. And you're trying to get everybody, you've got, like, as you just said, you've got no Dylan Sandberg, which is a big loss on the back end. Hayden Fleury's maybe being asked to do a little bit more than you need him to be doing in that second pairing. I'm not blaming it all on him, obviously, especially with that Fiala shot, right? It's a little bit more difficult, but it's just bad luck, I should say. But I just think, like, there's things to be concerned about for sure. And you can't be focused on this Jets team and not pretend like, sorry, you had one shot in the third period after 15 minutes in a game you're trailing. That's not a good sign. I don't care how good the other team is playing. You need to see that pushback. And similarly, being outshot 8-1 to start a game when you had a day off yesterday, I understand it's a lot of travel. It's not an easy schedule, but your coaching staff gave you the day off yesterday to kind of regroup and get back your energy. And you come out with an 8-1 disadvantage to LA. And again, I know LA was pissed off about being embarrassed by San Jose, but you're wanting to build momentum off what was a important win against Central Division rival. So again, like I said, I think everything is true. I think that you can be areas of concern that you need to address, and it's also the fact that you still are the number one team in the NHL.
You're right. So I mean, again, these are in the micro sense of it, it's a lousy game tonight. In the macro sense, the Jets are still in a very good position, but there are issues that you can be concerned about, certainly, as the Jets are 4-4 in their last 8 games, so a .500 winning percentage in their last 8 games. Before that, of course, they bank all the points for the terrific winning streak, but you have justifications to be concerned about Mark Scheifele and some of the things you've seen over the last 8 games, 2 weeks, whatever, that leave you with a little bit of a negative taste in your mouth. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. It's brought to you, of course, by our friends at Play Now.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. And a big congratulations to Andrew. He is the winner of the 4 tickets to the Jets-Habs game taking place on Saturday, December the 14th. For the record, I am not the Andrew that won. If you go to our Facebook page, Andrew did win via our Facebook page. We've made the announcement there. I think Andrew Mead is his name, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to Andrew. He's in possession of the 4 tickets now. They've been transferred to him. So he and 3 friends, family members, whomever, are off to see the Jets and the Montreal Canadiens in a little more than 2 weeks' time. So that's terrific. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now. And of course, we're thrilled to be presenting that in conjunction with them. So congratulations to Andrew on getting his name into the draw and winning those 4 tickets to the Jets and the Habs game. The L.A. Kings, as we talked about, they were embarrassed by the San Jose Sharks, and it did not take them long to get into the flow of this game and to get an early lead in tonight's game. It came at the 1:52 mark of the first period. It came 4 seconds after Vlad Nemesnikov was penalized for a slashing penalty. It's Anze Kopitar, his 7th of the year. The assist goes to Adrian Kempe and Laferriere. Alex Laferriere gets the secondary assist on this one. It's a clean face-off win. It's a nice shot from Kempe. It's a nice job of Anze Kopitar going to where he goes best on the power play, which is in front of the net, and he deflects it past Connor Hellebuck, and it's a very early, very quick 1-0 lead for the LA Kings, as a
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, very quick. The analysis, I think, is going to be very quick on this one too, because Kopitar wins the faceoff, like you said, to Laferriere, to Adrian Kempe on the point, goes to the net, tips it. Like that's the goal, right?
That's
like,
quick and painless.
You know, I mean, I don't think you're faulting Hellebuck on this goal. I don't think you're faulting the defensive coverage really on this goal. This is just a well executed play by the Kings. Like, could you have got maybe a little bit more of a body on Kopitar? And obviously Kupari would have helped if he won the face-off, right? But yeah, this is just winning the face-off, getting a point shot, and getting traffic, because Quinton Byfield was providing some traffic in front as well there, right?
They had a couple layers.
Yeah, so I mean, that was just the definition of excellent execution. My apologies to Brett the Hitman Hart.
I was going to say the original excellence of execution, not the LA Kings power play. 8-1 shots for the LA Kings to start this game after the first 9 minutes and 20 seconds. I made a note about a nice defensive play by Gabriel Velarde to lift Mikey Anderson's stick just as he had entered the Jet zone, and he was about to look like he was about to unleash a shot. But Velarde was, as I mentioned in the preamble, one of the more noticeable Jets in the course of this game. I really had the first good sequence of events for the Winnipeg Jets in this game came with only 2.5 minutes to go in the first period, Dave. There was a decent shift and a decent opportunity by the Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton line with 2.5 minutes to play in that first period. But other than that, it was just a real disappointing start to the game for the Winnipeg Jets, a real disappointing start to the game, for the team. And, Mike, Scott Arneal, and speaking to Mike McIntyre on site in Los Angeles, just said the following about the slow start. Quote, "You know what? We were slow to get out again, and I'll put that on me again. I've got to make sure that we push harder here." So the Jets head coach, doing a decent job of protecting his players in questions regarding the slow start, because it's now been a bit of a pattern this year that Jets have been slow starters to begin some of the games, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if we're talking about aspects of the game, as I mentioned before we got this thing going in our preamble, one of the things I would say that needs to be improved is their penalty kill. Because regardless of whether you want to say that, the goal, which as he pointed out quickly, was not requiring a ton of analysis. It only took 4 seconds. So we only had less than 4 seconds to give some analysis, right? But the truth is you need to have a PK. We said this, like the PK is now faltered. I think it was 13th at one point. Maybe it was even a little bit higher. And now, where is it now, Drew?
17th.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought it was 20th maybe because it slipped. So 17th.
I don't know if it takes into account tonight's games.
No, it wouldn't. They don't.
I think it does. So it'll probably be a little bit lower once you factor it in.
Fine.
Once you factor it in tomorrow. So it'll be, it'll still be above St. Louis's. They're at 19, but they're, in the flirting toward bottom third of the league, which is where you don't want to be now.
Right. We always talk about this though, right, David? It's almost better to not look at where a team is ranked on the season. It's better to look at how they've been playing in like 5-game increments.
Sure.
Right. And you're right. I mean, the Jets penalty kill, it's been kind of slowly going down, right?
Right.
And that's what it is. It's one goal here. Maybe you have a successful penalty kill one game, but then it's back. Like you got to put together 3 or 4 games where you're not allowing any power play goals.
Well, one of the things that Dean Chenoweth talked about was the idea of drawing energy from your penalty kill, but it's hard to do that when you're giving up goals. And
to your point, as in the last 6 games, sorry, Dave, last 6 games, the Jets penalty kill 25th in the NHL.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not surprised by that at all. And again, so you want to draw energy from it. You're being outshot. You're being, they already scored before it was 8-1 in shots. But the truth is, it's clear LA's dominating. And so you need to kind of be able to, if you're not going to be strong, if you're not going to be quick out of the gate, if you're not going to be ready to go, if your PK is at least a little bit better, a little more significant, maybe you can draw some energy from the fact that you don't give up a goal, but now you've got a PK, and within a few minutes, the game is now 1-0. So it's just, what I'm saying is it's leading. It's one of the contributing factors to why this team is where they are in this regard. Like, it's a bit of a slide, right? Because their PK, as Drew just pointed out, is 25th in the NHL in the last 6 games.
And it's a PK that's without one of its key members, of course, in Dylan Sandberg. So you'll see how we'll have to watch how that gets adapted. Now, I'm not saying that his absence is responsible for the slide in the PKs, specifically, but it'll be interesting to see how the PK adjusts to him not being in the lineup for the Jets for the foreseeable future as he's out with that broken foot.
Yeah, and just wanted to say one thing. Like, I know Heinola, I forget, I didn't make a note of it. Heinola broke up that there was a play that he broke up. It was a nice, just with his stick, he broke up a play. I forget who the Kings player was. So he made a nice play, but this was a game in which I thought Heinola, you could see, was starting to get a little bit lost at times in his own zone, and maybe pinching at times when he shouldn't. Like, I know, again, I'm a big fan of Heinola. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him, but that kind of speaks to your point where in a game like this, which was a more physical game, a more tight checking game, I think you missed Sandberg a little bit. Like, I'm not saying that having Sandberg in the lineup would have meant the Jets would have won the game, but what do we always say about Sandberg? He's Mr. Steady, right? Mm-hmm. And he rarely makes mistakes. So I just wanted to throw that in there, right? You have Hayden Fleury obviously playing. I thought, Fleury and Pionk were fine. I wouldn't, point to anything in their games that was out of the ordinary, right? Just saying that I think in a game like this, to have one of your top defensive defensemen would have helped a lot.
Yes, it would have.
I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah. We mentioned, so 1-0 after 20 minutes, the Jets badly outclassed to start the game. We mentioned the Rasmus Kupari unsuccessful penalty shot that came at the 2:58 mark of the second period. So early in the second period, Brandt Clark takes the slash on Kupari. Kupari gets his first career penalty shot opportunity. No dice for him, but dice indeed for Phillip Danault at the 7:10 mark of the second period. It's his second of the season. Assist to Alex Turcotte, assist to Laferriere as well. This is just poor defensive play by both Cole Perfetti and Nikolai Ehlers. I mean, the word I wrote down is soft. It's just soft play. It can't happen like that. Danault gets 2 cracks at it. The first is a backhand attempt that Hellebuyck makes the save on, and both Perfetti and Ehlers just do flybys. They just let Danault get a second opportunity for a guy who's really been struggling to start this year, and he deposits the second opportunity past Hellebuyck to give the Kings a 2-0 lead. Dave,
there's a number of plays that I didn't like on this one. First of all, DeMello in the neutral zone goes for the jump. He tries to do some odd jump. Like, it's not jump ball. You're not playing basketball, right? And so Dylan DeMello, I thought, was caught out of position a few times on this shift, right? And he got stuck along the wall, kind of got fixated on finishing a check, losing sight of the fact that the puck is behind him. Like, you're the defenseman, you got to be there. And then Cole Perfetti, when they do the dish, Cole Perfetti is just, you're right, Drew, he's soft. He doesn't even play it in any way, shape, or form the way he needed to play it.
He flat out loses Danault, right? Like, Danault is his guy, especially with DeMello out of the play. He's got to stay with him there, right, Dave?
That's right, absolutely. And so you just watch. I mean, again, like I said, Perfetti you're right beside him. There's no reason to let him just go past you, especially when you see that Morrissey is caught. Look, we always talk about how cerebral Cole Perfetti is. So DeMello is behind you. Cole Perfetti is. Josh Morrissey's over there along the boards. So who's in front of the net? And so you're allowing Danault to get unopposed to the front of the net with the puck coming to him. And then Nikolai Ehlers, what the hell are you doing? I mean, why are you flying by you? Well, but you cannot.
He's
fly.
His man in that, it's funny because you mentioned this, because obviously I knew we would be talking about this, so I paused it, and obviously we all do this because we do the post game shows, so you can PVR and go back. But Jordan Spence is the defenseman on the point there, so Ehlers can't just leave Spence there, right, Dave? To me, this is just again, I hate to pick on Cole Perfetti because he hasn't scored in 10 or 11 games now.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just a one-on-one situation.
I agree, but when I'm suggesting,
so I don't think Ehlers is really responsible for that at all.
Hold on. Sure, it's 100. Danault is 100% Perfetti's man, but the difference is that you have to cover for your teammate if he gets burnt, and at that point, Danault has an unopposed, lane to the net. So Ehlers is there. As I would agree with you, if Ehlers was watching his man, then fine. But Ehlers is there. He can assist Hellebuck in some capacity, and instead he just ineffectively kind of swipes at the puck, like stop, tie up a stick. And instead, you're just going to leave a guy in front of your goaltender. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like it.
It was a lot of bad. Like you said, DeMello's out of position.
DeMello didn't like it.
Perfetti loses Danault. He's right there, right? He bumps Danault, but he just lets him go.
And to
then
Dave's point, though, I think
isn't able to cover up for Perfetti. So there's a whole lot of bad going on there.
I think what Dave is saying, that once Ehlers is making the commitment to go back and help Perfetti, the level of help needs to be higher. It can't be a flyby in that instance. It needs to be a physical, it needs to be man on man, body on body to try and help Perfetti out in that situation. Instead, it's a soft stick whack by Ehlers. It's a flyby as opposed to really, getting into the dirty area in front of Connor Hellebuck to try and knock Danault off of his play.
And again, last point I'll make is just that this is you're already in a game that is a very tight one. It's not going to be an easy one. So making mistakes like that, if they get burnt by them, is only going to hurt you because like I said, LA didn't look. You can say, oh, they gave up 7 against San Jose, but as I illustrated, he had 940, 950 save percentages the 3 games prior. So they were playing fine before, even if they weren't winning the games. They come into this one. And you're like, well, this is the way, especially with the way his team was playing. I'm not so much about Rittich, as Drew says, he wasn't a factor, but the way the team was playing, you could see that you're being outshot 16-7 at that point in the second period, and you give up that goal. It's like, well, okay, is that going to be enough to win them the game?
2-0 for the L.A. Kings at this point in time. The Jets get on the board 2 minutes and 2 seconds later. It's on their power play opportunity. It's with it's with Tanner Jeannot in the box. He takes a slashing penalty on Nino Niederreiter, and the Kings scored 4 seconds into a power play opportunity earlier. It took the Jets 9 seconds to get this goal. It's a clean face-off win. It goes back to, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Josh Morrissey to Kyle Connor across the ice to Nikolai Ehlers down low to Gabe Vilardi. Gabe Vilardi walks out from right along the goal line like we've seen him do so many times. First attempt is saved, but he deposits the rebound past David Riddick to give the Jets a little bit of life, to get them back in the game, to make it a 2-1 deficit at this point in time, really halfway through the game at this point, Ezzy.
Right, and you mentioned, the Jets had the good puck movement like we've been used to seeing with Morrissey down to Ehlers, and I had to watch the replay because I wasn't really sure how Vilardi got the puck back, right? Because he kind of, like you said, he just kind of stuffed it, and it was just a loose puck, right? Yeah. That's all that is, and that's just good awareness, situational awareness.
It's awareness and body positioning to put himself in a good position.
That's his office. Like, Gretzky had his office back in the day. Gabe Vilardi, that's his office. It's not behind the net. It's to the side of the net on the goal line. And
Ginsburg says Vilardi is Gretzky, tomorrow's headline.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, come on. It's all about Los Angeles and Hollywood, right? But yeah, I mean.
You could have confused the people who were supposed to be in attendance.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, number one team in the NHL, I guess. I don't know. Maybe
it was the Thanksgiving.
It's Thursday night. I mean, I never understand why. Yeah, it's a Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. It's not.
I don't know why schedule a game then.
Well, all these U.S. teams play these games on this night.
That's what I mean.
And it's always bad because. Yeah, to me, it's always odd that they don't that they play on this Wednesday night. I mean, the Jets have been playing Wednesday night. Games in U.S. Thanksgiving in U.S. markets for years now, and they're always poorly attended because Wednesday night before Thanksgiving is very much a family time. It's the busiest travel day in the United States. Today is busier than Christmas. It's the busiest travel day. Everybody's flying in. You're seeing your loved ones for the first time in however many months if they don't live within close proximity. I don't think people in L.A. particularly are flying home, seeing everybody, and then getting back on the freeway to go watch the Jets and the Kings play in downtown Los Angeles. To me, it's always a bit of an anomaly.
Well, my buddy Kobe was there.
Okay, well, he's
with his kids. Shout out Kobe.
He must not like his family.
No,
I'm joking. He likes the Jets more, is obviously what happens.
He's a Winnipegger who lives in LA. He wants to see the Jets.
I know. I get it. I was making a joke in that case, but
hopefully Kobe's not listening to this show, right, Dave?
I hope not.
No, now he's with his family.
He's got a golf game tomorrow, so he's he's getting to bed.
Shout out to Kobe. I mean, it was an unfortunate game for him to be in attendance because the Jets were served their lunch in this game. This was not close, but at least Velarde got them on the board, right? At least they got one.
And he did get the one, and I made it 2-1. The Jets got close as Alex Turcotte takes a high sticking penalty with about 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go in the second period. Josh Morrissey got hit the post immediately after that.
But they didn't have any shots on net on that power play.
They didn't.
And that kind of speaks to, because you're right though, Drew. I mean, they do hit the post there. So that's,
and even before that, Perfetti hit the post as well. Perfetti
right.
beat Riddick clean. This was at a 5-on-5 situation. He beat Riddick clean, and he caught iron as well. So the Jets did, if Perfetti scores there, if Morrissey scores there, ifs and buts, blah, blah, blah.
Well, in the third period, late Trevor Moore hit the post, right? So,
course,
if we're going to talk about post, I mean, the Kings also had a post, right? But this was not the Jets' night. Sometimes you can, dummy it down and simplify it to that, even though they got the power play. But it kind of speaks, Drew, to your point earlier about the Jets not really feeding off of Rasmus Kupari's penalty shot. The Jets did not feed off of this power play at all. It almost sucked more momentum from them. And that's not something it's funny because we're, kind of maligning the power play, but they scored a goal. But that second power play, it was slower and didn't have those zone entries. It just wasn't crisp.
And the third power play attempt, or the second Turcotte penalty in the third period, after the Jets were already back down by 2 goals, after Kevin Fiala made it 3-1 at the 5:21 mark of the third period. The redirection, the ricochet off of Hayden Fleury's skate. I mean, it's no chance for Connor Hellebuyck. It's a bad luck goal for the Jets. Good luck goal for the L.A. Kings. But the Jets did have another power play opportunity, 4 minutes later, when Turcotte went to the box for tripping Kupari, a second penalty against Kupari, and the Jets did nothing on that power play opportunity again, which sort of speaks to, I think, some of the struggles the Jets had in the course, top to bottom in tonight's game. Just nothing was working well for the Winnipeg Jets. And then the LA Kings wrap it all up. Adrian Kempe, his 11th of the season. It's into the empty net with just under 3 minutes to go. Andrzej Kopitar and Vladislav Gavrikov getting the assist as well to make it 4-1 for the LA Kings. A well-deserved win for the LA Kings, one-sided, decisively beating the Winnipeg Jets. Having been embarrassed, the Kings were, by the San Jose Sharks, they bounce back and probably have one of their more smothering games of the year and beat, of course, the number 1 team in the NHL. Again, sky isn't falling, folks. The Jets are still the number 1 team in the NHL. And it's a 4-1 final tonight at Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles. When we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show, more on the Jets and the Kings, a brief look ahead to the Jets and the Golden Knights on Friday nights. If we have any more post-game comments, we'll bring them to you as well. And, of course, the Seagram shot of the game on the other side of the break. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on this now Thursday morning with the Illegal Curve post-game show.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Center. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Center. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal. Starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
12:30 in the morning. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. We'll be back at it again on Friday after the Jets head to Vegas to face the Golden Knights. It certainly does not get any easier on this road trip, which will see the Jets conclude with a game in Dallas on Sunday. So from here to Vegas to Dallas, and then the Jets mercifully will be done their longest road trip on the season. We had this quote from Rasmus Kupari coming to us from Jamie Thomas, our good friend. Quote, somehow today, they killed our speed. They being the L.A. Kings. We couldn't really get our forecheck going that well like we would like to. We didn't create too many chances today. We only scored 1 goal and a very tough team to play against. Whenever we face them next time, we have to find ways to be at our best and beat them. Certainly, I would agree with him that they slowed down the Jets' forecheck. The Jets that have been known for, cycling other teams to death and really getting in and forcing turnovers, did nary of that in the course of tonight's game, and the L.A. Kings, I would say, executed their game plan to absolute textbook perfection.
100%, Drew, 100%. You have to give them full marks. They earned this win. The Jets did not have a lot going on. They couldn't muster up enough shots to save their lives. Mm-hmm. And, we talked about, the early goal and, the fact that, they didn't really seem to have one line that really was they could turn to provide offense, right? Like Scheifele, Connor Velarde, I would say, was probably the best line. And Nemesnikov, Ehlers, Perfetti, they weren't bad tonight. But yeah, this was kind of similar to, I hate to bring up my New Jersey Devils, but like this is kind of the style of hockey, like the early 2000s, late 90s, right? Like you don't have, like Kevin Sawyer talked about it a lot on the broadcast, like the 1-3-1, right? Like there was just nothing for the Jets in the neutral zone, and there was only a few times that I can remember where the Jets were able to really generate a lot off of the rush. I'm thinking later in the second period, but certainly not in the third period. And I see a lot of comments in the chat about, maybe the tired legs are coming in here, but I mean, the Jets were able to beat Minnesota a couple nights ago, right? And so I don't know, were they able to persevere despite being tired, right? Like Dave mentioned this earlier, like we're now 23 games into the season. There's a lot of guys across the league that are dealing with stuff, right? And including the condensed schedule with the Four Nations tournament, right? So, and they got a day off yesterday, right? As Dave mentioned. So I don't think you can blame, tired legs or the Jets being tired. Well, certainly they're not going to use that as an excuse, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they bounce back, because it's always been tough for the Jets to win in Vegas. The Golden Knights are playing well as of late. We know that. And then you got Dallas, who we mentioned earlier, they lost 6-2 to Chicago. So they're not going to be happy about that. And the Jets and Stars, the Stars always play the Jets tight, right?
Oh,
so
the Stars, of course.
If they can come out of this road trip with 3 wins at this point, guys, I think that's a successful road trip. I really do. And it's not about setting the bar low. It's you factor in the Sandberg injury, you factor in all the hockey the Jets have played over the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're able to win one of these 2 games, or even Dave, if you get 3 of 4 points here, I think that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well said, and I think that's one of the things that this team is going to focus on, right? Like they've got to practice tomorrow in Vegas, and you look. These are the challenges. This is how you develop those calluses that Scott O'Neill talked about. This is what you're going to have, because like it's not like the playoffs are going to be easy on you. It's not like travel gets. I mean, if you have to play in Colorado, if you have to play Edmonton, like you're going to have to deal with some sort of adversity. And you're going to have to figure out ways to overcome it. And so, this is adversity, whether it's both strength of schedule in terms of who the teams you're playing, and also the rigors of that schedule, because you say, oh, well, it's really hard on first class travel, 5-star hotels, blah, blah, blah. But it's not easy doing this sort of traversing of North America the way they are. So yeah, it's difficult, but okay, that's just the hand you've been dealt. And no offense to the Jets, you didn't have a back-to-back till mid-November. You had a fairly easy schedule to start the season. You made hay with that schedule, so that's good on you. But at the same time, you knew it was going to get tougher. You have to deal with that reality. And like I said, they've done well. There's some things in the game. Like I think it's like I said, I think everything is true. I think the Jets have continued to play well, and I still think that there's some areas of the game, whether it's penalty kill, whether it's some of their 5-on-5 play, whether it's clearly some guys are not performing. And look, all those guys were performing. Ezzy, some of these guys were shooting at like 23%. It's going to regress. We know that. But at the same time, you just don't want to see the structure that the team has used so well throughout the course of the first quarter of the season start to break down. That's would you have more of a concern?
One last thing to do on tonight's post-game show. It's this.
The Seagram shot of the game.
No matter how bad it was for the Winnipeg Jets, it wasn't as bad as it was for Charlie Lindgren of the Washington Capitals.
Nice.
This is our Seagram's shot of the game.
This is on Dallop.
Right in his own goal.
It's funny, Drew. I saw the highlight earlier tonight of that. Like, didn't that bring back shades of when Patrick Laine scored on his own goal? Is that what you were thinking? Remember when he did that years ago?
Yeah, the 5-hole
in his own net. Yeah.
It's just remarkable. It's one of the most remarkable goals you're ever going to see scored in the NHL.
Well, and the funniest thing is, like, Lindgren's had an amazing season for the Capitals. He's been great, but yeah,
did they win the game?
Yes, 5-4.
Yeah.
Braden Point had a hat trick and they still won.
They were down 2-0, but they ended up winning.
That's right. I mean, which speaks to really some impressive intestinal fortitude from the Washington Capitals, that they can come back from that and still manage to win the game over the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight.
And also, Drew, I know we want to wrap up here, but the Capitals to me have been one of the better kind of feel-good stories this year, because I don't think many people it's not like the expectations were high for this team this year.
No.
Yeah, they went out and they acquired Dubois. They went out and they acquired Andrew Mangiapane
for them.
Right? But the thing is, they're playing well despite the fact that does Dubois even have his second goal yet?
Yes, into an empty net. He's got 2 goals. One of them was into an empty net.
He was stuck on 1 goal for quite some time. So he's got 2 goals in 23 games or whatever, how many games they've played, and they're still doing well. And he's their second line center, right? So good on the Capitals. I'm not a Capitals fan, but you like to see a team that's outperforming expectations, right? Similar to the Jets.
Remember, the Capitals were a team last year that made the playoffs with, I think, one of the worst goal differentials.
Were they like minus 25?
Something like that.
And then they were abruptly swept.
Well, yeah, but you knew they were going to be abruptly swept. So that in itself isn't the surprise. But their goal differential, they're 15-6-1. Their goal differential, including that great shot from Charlie Lindgren, which is our Seagram shot of the game, their goal differential is plus 30. So good things still happening for the Washington Capitals.
Bad.
Yeah, and you get the Seagram shot of the game for tonight's Illegal Curve post-game show, even though he didn't play in tonight's Jets game. But thanks to Seagrams and for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. That'll wrap it up for us because it's, getting closer and closer to 1 a.m.
I guess I don't get to talk about the Manuk Moose Minute.
You know what? You'll save it for Saturday or you'll save it for Friday. We got lots of shows upcoming. You're not doing it tonight there.
I'm not going to try and do it tonight, but just to point out, that's what you said. Ezzy, what was the thing we wanted to talk about? Remember? And I was like, oh, aren't we going to talk about that? And Drew's like, oh, we'll save it for Saturday. We never talked about it.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manuk Moose Minute on the.
We're not doing it. I said we're not doing it.
Did you notice my arms? Wow. Did you just stop a Manuk Moose Minute?
Yes, I did. I don't care. It's almost 12:40 in the morning.
Put on your antlers. It's time for.
Stop it.
Okay, well, while you two fight, I'm going to just quickly say
talk about Tony Nato getting the captaincy.
I will just mention the interview we did with Dominic Toninato. He named the 12th captain in the franchise history, 11th Moose captain in 25 years. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it's on our YouTube channel. But a nice honor for him and his family. Ashton Sautner and Mason Shaw were named the alternates.
There you go. We'll talk more about that this coming weekend on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Big thanks to all of you for joining us tonight on the Illegal Curve post-game show. In case you missed any of it, the immediate replay is available on our YouTube channel, and the podcast is available, of course, at your convenience once it is on all the various podcasting streams. Big thanks to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, where tickets for Tim Meadows from Saturday Night Live are going like absolute hotcakes. If you want to see him, don't delay. rumorscomedyclub.com and get your tickets. Play Now is the title sponsor of the post-game show and the Saturday show as well. Big thanks to them, as well as our friends at Holt Dental, Boston Pizza, City Place, and Seagram support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Jets defeated by the L.A. Kings 4-1 tonight. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, and leave us your feedback. We'll be back Friday night after the Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a 7:30 Central Time start time, which means post-game show on Friday will be right around 10 o'clock or so, give or take a couple minutes around there. So we will see you for that. Until then, happy Thanksgiving for all those who are celebrating. Enjoy your day of NFL. Yeah, enjoy your day of NFL football if you choose to watch that tomorrow. For Dave Manuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks, everyone, for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show. We wish you good night and good luck, and we'll see you on Friday night.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.